Aprons don't just serve a practical purpose. They give you a sense of nostalgia, too. EllynAnne Geisel knows all about that. She's here to teach us how to make this really cute apron, coming up on Sew It All. Hey everybody, welcome to Sew It All. I'm Ellen March, and I am here with the lovely EllynAnne Geisel today. She is the apron queen. She has written the Apron book, Apronisms, and the Kitchen Linens book. Welcome, EllynAnne. I'm so excited that you're here.
No, it is my pleasure to be a guest on your first season of this show. I'm just thrilled that you invited me. I mean, seriously, thrilled to be here.
Well, I am thrilled to see your apron design that you created for us today. It's super cute. I absolutely love the little ruffled trim.
I wanted to provide something that even I could sew because I know a lot of your guests are professional. I mean, they are at a much higher level of seamstressing than I am. And this is a project that even a beginner can do, and it's going to look, it's so simple, and in the end, it's going to look like you're a whole lot better than you really are.
Fantastic.
But you're going to grow up to be, you know what I mean? We can all move forward on that. Okay.
Great. So what do we need to do first?
We need to purchase some kind of toweling or fabric. This particular apron does take 4 bits of toweling that are of similar size. And that's one of the things with vintage toweling. It's hard to find for. I've chosen reproduction toweling. It's just a lot easier to find. After you've washed it to the instructions, you're going to download the pattern that I have drawn out and is provided on the Sew It All website. And then you're going to cut the pattern pieces out and lay them out. What we're showing here is 2 pattern pieces, the 2 ties, and, well, this is 1 tie and 1 front panel. And we decided to show this directly to the audience because you may not be able to control when your bobbin goes crazy and all that, but you can definitely control how you lay this out so it's going to look very professional when you're done. Just match up the striping. Do it, you know, both pieces, the matching pieces have to also be on the front side. If you make a mistake and you lay them out on the back side, when you go to sew it, you're just going to go, no! So to avoid that, you know,
just be methodical about it in the beginning.
Be a little ahead of the game at the very beginning. Yes, so you're going to cut those out.
Great.
Then you're going to put the right sides together, taking advantage of the factory hemming because of the
Love
toweling.
that shortcut.
Ooh, I know. So we managed to grab that on a couple of sides. You're going to sew the seam. You need to finish things off, though, as you're sewing because the reproductive toweling has a kind of an unravelly side to it, and I mean that in all seriousness. And so you're going to need to pink the edges, and I say you have pinking shears.
I do.
Here, you know, pinking shears. I think that's really cool. But you're going to serge or pink, or you're going to use that seam stuff that you can buy in a little squeeze
seam
jar.
sealant, right?
Seam, that would be the stuff. And when you poke a hole in the tip there, you want to be sure not to do it with like a barbecue skewer or something like that. You do want to use a little pinhead. You cannot put that back in the jar. And so you have to make sure you squeeze out in increments and dab it on, and you can see it gives
stiffens it a little bit too, which is nice. It gives a little stabilization to there.
You know, the more advanced sewer doesn't need stabilization, but for those of us that are looking for every bit of help we can find, it's a godsend.
We will take it.
It's a godsend. So all the way down, you are going to you're going to have to open this up. You've got an end point here that's kind of going to create a bumple when all is said and done. So step 2, erase that bumple and make it nice and smooth. Undo your stitching. Don't sew it all the way down. And then in lining it up, mark a 1/2 inch seam. And that is what you're going to demonstrate now. That's my understanding. You're doing this for
Absolutely.
me, right?
I will sew for you anytime.
What a friend. What a friend. Yes. So following that seam, though it is crooked, in the end, it is going to be absolutely a perfect point when you are done.
Great. Well, let's test out that theory of yours, the perfect point. I think I can manage it.
I'm surprised I used the word perfect with sewing, because that's not a word that I believe the women of earlier generations even knew. They were proponents of the phrase good enough.
Well, that's good enough for me. I'm just backstitching a little bit at the beginning of the seam and then following along that line that you've so nicely marked for me. That makes it so much easier to have just a little bit of marking, since it does kind of follow this curve.
Do you have a special kind of marker? I have a pink one, actually, but I've seen that invisible stitching, that invisible marker stuff. What do you use?
I use an air-soluble marker most of the time. You just want to make sure to wash it out before you press it. Otherwise, it will be completely permanent.
Well, that would not be a fun thing to have on, although it would be on the inside, so it's not like it would be irreparable.
So now I'm just getting that perfect point, folding all of that in, and it is like magic. And then just top stitching, right, EllynAnne?
Yes, please.
Just top stitching that seam a little bit. Now, if this is a little wonky, you're not going to hold me accountable for it, right?
Now, the good part is that the ruffle is going to cover up any errant stitching that, of course, not you, but someone else might have done.
Fabulous.
Like me, for example.
I'm just coming to the end here and smoothing it out and back stitching a little bit. And that's all there is to it. Okay, and let's just trim up our threads a little bit so that all of that is nice, neat, and tidy.
Oh,
so there we have it.
Beautiful, beautiful. And when it is pressed, it's even going to look better. Fabulous job. Thank you so much.
Great.
Okay.
So next we need our pockets. Is that correct?
The pockets, which I consider to be blank canvases of expression, if you're going to do any kind of embellishing, as in embroidery or appliquing or anything like that, be sure and do it before you sew these things down, or you're just going to go, no, and then you're going to have to either take them off or make another apron, which isn't the worst thing, that ever happened in the world.
Right. Just give away the first one and then make another one for yourself.
Oh, yes. The holidays, well,
always around the corner.
Holidays around the corner, always, yes. 4 corners you're going to find are marked on the pattern itself. You're just going to take advantage again of that factory seam. You're going to turn them over. I like to use that you called it something, you gave me a name for it before.
Just fabric glue?
Fabric glue, thanks so much. Yes, it helps me, ironing it and keeping it nice and smooth. Then you're going to match things up, and you're just going to finish the top stitching. What we talked about, though, was reinforcing the corners. In my collection of aprons, and I have hundreds and hundreds of aprons, you can tell the homemaker who is right-handed, her pocket has stress on that point right there on the right corner, as does on the left. Not as many left-handers in my apron collection anyway. Ways to work around that stress so you don't punch a hole in it and then you have to do the mending thing, and that's really less fun than trying to make that work out. So one of the things we talked about was you have a button jar. Also,
I do.
I know, I have a button box. You've got a button jar. It's so neat. But you could either do buttons from the back like you would for a winter coat to reinforce a button, or you can just use buttons on the corners.
I love it. And a little mismatched look. Never hurt anybody, right?
Oh, more creative by the hour. Or by the pocket,
by the
I should have said. Oh,
yeah.
By the second, of course.
And then we have this cute little loop here.
You do.
It existed on the original toweling, as we can see, so you just incorporated that into...
Oh, you need to take advantage of that, absolutely. And for me, I use it when I wear this apron. I can always find my readers. When I don't have this apron on, I can't find my readers. I have like 100 pairs of these things or something like that. But for somebody else, it would be a great place to put like an iPod or a telephone and just put your wires, your buds through here, and then they could just dangle without getting tangled on anything, or they could be in your ears. And I just think the loop is a very handy thing to have.
Absolutely.
So we've sewn that on.
Okay.
Next, up, we're going to address the ties. The ties are also taking advantage of the factory factory hemming on both ends. You're going to need to keep the stitching on one end, and you're going to cut it off on the other, so it's not so bulky when you slip it into the waistband.
Makes sense.
You are going to turn the ends, the bottom and top hems, and you're going to, well, you can see, a better straight line than I did. I hadn't realized bringing it on television it was going to show up so startlingly horrible. But that's a good point to show.
It's on the wrong side. Nobody will see it.
On this side, it looks perfect. So, again, drop the perfect word and you're just fine. Good enough. It's not going to come loose. So you would continue to your stitching there, leaving it plain, or if you so desire for a point, you're just turning it down and, again, top stitching. Whichever is your pleasure.
I love the point. It gives it a little detail.
I know. I think it has a more refined look, but there's nothing wrong with a little square bottom, like so many of us know, with the little square bottom.
So now we need to insert these into the waistband pieces, right?
That would be correct.
Okay.
All right. We have sewn the two pieces of waistband together, and again, you're going to need to finish that edge because it is going to unravel. That's just the way it is. I'm a proponent of the pinking shear or putting the stop stuff on there. So, turning under the ends, you see...
Just one end, though, right? One long edge.
One long edge. You know, yeah, I've got it turned backwards. Here we go.
We've pinned that already, but we can take that out so that we can see how that's done.
Yeah, for traveling's sake, it made it easier. Okay, so now you're going to... This piece is larger in width than the space it's going to fit into, and that gives you a great advantage for creating your pleat, which is
very cute.
Then you're going to, you, Miss Ellen, I know, would not need to pin this down because you are a pro.
I might need to pin it, but I probably wouldn't.
I, however, would. And so now you are going to finish, are you going to finish sewing
Sure,
this?
yes. I will absolutely finish that for you because it's so super quick and easy. And it's just a straight stitch along this end, right? Just
it is.
Attaching everything together.
It is.
And I will just back stitch a little bit again to anchor the seam and pull the pins out as I go. Now, EllynAnne, it is a little bit bulky, and I'm just going to shove it through without creating an unwanted pleat, shall I say.
Well, it would have been a whole lot bulkier if we hadn't cut off the factory edge, you know, hemmed edge. So I don't think it's as bulky as... It's going to be fine. You'll see. It's going to be just fine.
Great. So, and do we want to clip this little corner here?
Oh, certainly.
Or does that not matter?
No, I mean, we're here, so, and you've got all the little tools.
Pinking shears.
Yes,
why
please
not?
do. Please do.
So that's just going to help us make a nice cream.
Exactly.
Clean and crisp. I was trying to say those as one word.
This is the part I really like, where you get to turn it and admire your work. I mean, this is just grand.
Really cute. And I have a little chopstick, which I like to use. You can use for your corner.
Oh, my corner I'm already looking great. But the one that you sewed seems to need a little bit of pushing.
Great. So once we have those out, then we are ready to attach, right?
Yes.
And then let's see how that works out.
We're going to be using the piece you just put away. This is going to show the finishing. There we go. Back to back. We're going to, you know, I know people can work upside down, but I just cannot do that. So we're going to find the halfway point. It's about right there. And we're going to pin it to the middle of the apron. And then pin it all the way across, and that is what you are going to sew. Then we are going to flip it to the front side, and that is what this is showing.
Fantastic.
You're going to just turn it under half an inch, smooth it down nicely, and you're going to top stitch all the way over. It's going to be very clean, and if you're using a thread that matches the background fairly closely like this, even if you run off a little bit, nobody's going to know unless you point it out. So that's the great part, but that just is a lovely finishing touch to the apron.
Great. And so now we need to put the ruffle along the bottom of the apron,
yes, we do.
Correct? And you have a great tip for that.
The two ruffling pieces have been sewn together, nicely finished off, as you see. I would have pinked them, but for the show, I did ask somebody with a serger to do that. So you can see, I mean, it's a very, very clean look. Turning down the top hem, and then you're making, you know, everything nice. You're going to lay out a piece of string, and the string is about 1 inch from the top, and you're going to set the machine on the widest zigzag, and using the measuring plate, you're going to just stitch over the string the big zigzag back and forth all the way to the end where you're going to tie a knot, and what you have is a great puller. It isn't going to break. It's just a wonderful...
Let's give it a go.
Oh, it's just the best thing. I think from the women
easy.
who in the Depression years sewed with, it made their aprons and all out of feed bags, they saved everything, and the thing they were saving with the string, I would just guarantee that tip came from that era. It's, I mean, I could have made it up, but I don't think I did, but if I did, it's still a great tip. And the string, it makes it fun. It makes it a little fun to do.
So to attach it to, we need to distribute the gathers pretty...
Yes, and you know, gathering, it's not my favorite thing to do. It gets me all nervous and everything. Oh, is it going to look right? But you know what? You space them out. You put your end down. You find your middle point. And
just tack it in a few key areas,
yes, exactly.
Right?
And then have fun with it. I mean, this isn't something where somebody's going to go, ooh, let me measure and make sure that that's exactly that.
Oh, so you want to make sure to keep this pin above the stitching like I did not do, correct?
Well, it makes
slightly above, so
it
that
makes
you
it
can
easier
gather.
when you make the pull, yes.
Okay, let's see if I can do this. So you just kind of ease it past the pin a little bit.
Well, even if you pulled it out and then you put it back down, I don't think, you know, there isn't anybody that's going to say,
know.
Rule breaker.
Good. The less rules in the sewing room, the better, really.
That's what I think, too, and that's what I like about all this. It's just, you know, you're sewing more from your heart than you are from the book.
Exactly.
I like that part.
Well, this is so easy with this string. I absolutely love it. I mean, if we were gathering with threads, they would just be all over the place. I am going to take that out.
You told me earlier about using a heavier thread underneath it. That's a great tip, but I think this is even a better, I mean, even for a sewer with a lot of experience, that's still, you cannot tear that string.
So once we have it, you know, more evenly distributed than I've done here, although I did a pretty good job, I must say.
Okay. Then we're going to just stitch right above the string line. Your choice, whether you want it to be 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, anything like that. Because when you're done, you're going to simply pull the string and out it comes. And then if you want to get really, you know, into the details, you're then going to pull the bobbin thread and out is going to come your zigzag, and it's going to be completely
no one will
clean.
ever know. Fantastic.
Oh, you have the finished, our beautiful finished apron over here.
Let's see what it looks like. Let me get rid of all of this.
It's all ready for you.
Here we are with our cute ruffle, perfectly gathered.
I want to see it on you.
Let's try it on. Fabulous. And a little embellishment. I would do a little something to the pocket there, maybe. Personalize it a little bit.
You know, with the embroidery on pockets, that's another thing. It's not just for personal expression, but you can also, you could like copy cards that were written in an aunt or a grandmother or your mother's handwriting, and then you could print, lay it on here.
Transfer.
And then you could sew it on there, but then with a needle and thread, you could actually go over the letters of her. I mean, it would be a little intensive, but it would be so gorgeous when it was done.
Well, I absolutely love it, EllynAnne. Thank you so much for being here today and showing us your great apron designs. It's just the cutest thing ever.
It has been more than my pleasure. I have just loved it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And if you'd like to learn more about EllynAnne Geisel or to download the free pattern to make this lovely apron, visit our website at sewitalltv.com.